In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and it was a big job. So God decided to take a week off. Now on the first day, after some toast and juice and pancakes and texting, God was just relaxing, enjoying the day off, when even though God was on vacation, God was still in a creative mood and had leftover supplies. And God is the creator. And so God created the juggling ball. And God was pleased, and it was good, for God is the good. And God stood there and watched the juggling ball the whole day, until finally evening came and darkness fell, and that was the first day. Now on the second day, God recreated the juggling ball and watched it till approximately 10:35. God time. At which point God had another idea, for God is the evolver. And God thought, wouldn't movement be nice? And so it was. And God was pleased. So pleased, God decided to add to the movement, for God is the most generous. Where had the day gone? Evening came, darkness fell, and that was the second day. Now on the third day, God was up early. God recreated the juggling ball, watched it for just a moment, added in some movement. Some new movement now. Holy cow. And then God had another idea. God thought, wouldn't it be great to have a toss? For God is the originator. And so it was. And with the toss came the catch. It was two creations in one, for God is the extender. And God had a nice high toss, and a good solid catch, and a nice high toss, and a good solid catch, and then just some little itty bitty tosses. And they were good, and God was pleased, and God tried the other side, and that worked well, so God went over the shoulder and behind the back, under the leg, off the knee, and on the head. For God is the illustrious. And evening came and darkness fell, and that was the third day. On the fourth day, God created two juggling balls. For God is the giver of life. And with the two, God had the movements. Some new movements now. And God had the tosses and the catches. And tosses and catches from the other side. And then tosses and catches together. For God is the unifier. And then tosses and catches together with rhythm. For God is all hearing. And was busting a move. But evening came and darkness fell, and that was the fourth day. God was on vacation. On the fifth day, God created two bigger and brighter juggling orbs, and God liked what God saw, for God is the all-seeing. And with the two bigger and brighter juggling orbs, God had the movements. Some new movements now, and the tosses and the catches, tosses and catches together with rhythm. And then God thought, wouldn't it be great to have two in one hand? And so it was. For God is the one. And God said, Please note how the spherical orbs shall travel in a circular pattern in this direction. But sometimes they shall travel in a circular pattern in that direction. It will be up to God. They will go in a circle like this, or they will go in a circle like that. And there was only one small problem with the circles. God got dizzy. So God separated out the juggling orbs and put them in their own roadways, for God is the subduer. And God said, if I am to take the roadways, I will take the shortcut. For God is the preserver. But even using the shortcut, God longed for something more, and so God switched hands. And it was good. And God was pleased. And God thought, I have 2 over here. And I know I just had 2 over there. So I had 2 over there, but now I have 2 over here. I have a total of 2. For God is the truth. And God thought, if I have 2 over here, I have this hand with nothing to do. But if I throw them up a little higher, I can include both. For God is the peace. And God thought, I could take this divine hand and put it in between these heavenly bodies. It shall look like this. Hi-cha! For God is the Almighty. Hi-cha! Yeah, 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 yeah! And darkness fell, and in the twilight God could be seen tossing stuff around. For God is the first, God is the last. On the 6th day, God created 3 juggling orbs, for God is the vast. And with the 3, God had the movements, some new movements now. Holy cow. And God had the tosses and the catches. And tosses and catches together with rhythm. And all at once God created what we now know as juggling. And it was good. For God is the source of good. And God said, I love this. For God is the loving. And I shall call this juggle my cascade, for it reminds me of water traveling down a brook. But sometimes I will switch it around, for God is the fashioner of forms. And sometimes I will do it just this way, for God is the way. And sometimes I will do it that way, for God is the way. And sometimes I will do it this way and that way, for God is the guide to the right path. And God said, I shall call this path confusing. But I will not get confused, says the Lord. I will slow down and use my head. For God is the wise. And God said, if I am to use my brain, I must use both sides of the brain. For God is the all-knowing. And when God was doing this, God saw that everything was connected. For God is the great. And with these connections, I can turn things around to reach new heights. For God is the Most High. The Most High. And the one final trick on that sixth day. And God did it with tender and loving care. For God is the exceedingly compassionate. And called it down the middle, behind the back, under the leg, off the knee, off the elbow, across the face, over the head, under the leg, catch trick. For God is the magnificent. And easy came, darkness fell, and that was the sixth day. On the seventh day, God was up early again. God had some new ideas. Something about 4-ball juggling. Something about 5-ball juggling. Something about chainsaws. But God said no. For God is the restrainer. And God said, let today be a day to remember all of the juggling of the past week, and a day to dream about all of the juggling in the